YouTube. I'll make a little video here real quick. This is the green S10, the one that's got the big block in it. After getting everything turned and tuned and so forth, we're gonna make a little bit of changes to a few things. One is the big single plane intake. I'm going to take it off. I've got a YN Stealth, which is like a Performer RPM dual plane we're going to put on it to try to get a little bit more low end out of it. I had a 750 Edelbrock on the motor, and it's starving for fuel. You literally have to pump the shit out of it to even get it to start, and to keep it running. When you step on it, it's leaning out. It's not getting enough fuel. I had a 1050 Dominator laying around, and we hooked it up on her real quick and threw it on it and stomped on it, and the thing just absolutely come to life. But it was a little bit too much for it. Which of course it's a mechanical secondary carburetor. You can see the fan shroud melts off. The radiator that I had that I wanted to use right here, it was leaking along this tank seam under pressure. So once it got warmed up, it was pushing antifreeze out right here. So this radiator actually came in a truck that donated some parts. So I went to the auto parts and got a brand new brass and copper. No one of them aluminum piece of junk plastic tank. Oh yeah, it'll fit, it'll cool, and it won't. This one is I can't remember the manufacturer on it, but it's a 4-core, it's a 28 3/8 wide by 18 inch tall. It's the core size on it. And you can see by how wide it is and how wide the tank. It is a 4-core. I've got it sitting in the rubbers. I've just got to bolt it back in at the top. The mounts that I made to hold it. Slide the shroud back in, bolt the shroud to the bottom of the radiator, bolt it up here at the top, slip the fan back in, and bolt it back on, and we're good on that. Then at that time, I'm gonna pull the intake and switch it. And I've got a 850 Barry Grant Demon that I'm gonna put on here, and I'm gonna save that 750, that brand new 750 Edelbrock, which is sitting there, is gonna go on that small block right there. Which that motor right there is a 350 4-bolt main. It is board 60 over to 360. I've got to change the rocker arms on it. It comes from the machine shop with those, and I've since bought a set of roller rockers for it. It's got 3/8 push rods in it, yes, in a small block. It's got a pretty decent roller cam in it. It's a 350 flat tops, 416 casting, 305 HO heads that have been opened up a whole bunch. Torquer 2 intake. It should be a nice torquey little small block that's going to go in that S10 that's sitting outside on that trailer. The blue truck is out. It is in the other garage, the detached. Which go out that door through the backyard to the detached garage, and I'll make a video of what's out there later. I've got this one on the attached garage to the house. I got my compressor at least hooked up where I got one hose in it. Got a box, got it wired in. So you see, this is a house that we have been working on. I've had to rewire the entire home. Did some other work. Refinished the hardwood floors, all new appliances, new cabinets, and so forth. But we moved into it 2 weeks ago out of the old house. I've got stuff in the driveway back there, so the truck and the other truck and trailer sitting here. So, but yeah, that's going into wife's truck. That little motor is, and it's all balanced. It's got all Eagle forged internals in it. It's got a comp hydraulic roller cam. double roller timing set, high volume pump. The cam it's in it's a comp. I'm wanting to say it's like a 511 lift, like 292, 296 duration on a 106 lobe center. So it's gonna have a pretty nasty idle to it. I've built this identical motor, these heads, this cam, everything before twice. The motor pulls from the basement all the way to the top, real hard, very torquey little engine. They're not much good after about $6,000, but honestly, you don't need any power after $6,000 in a little truck to play around on the street. But when I get done with it, it ought to give these new Mustangs a run for your money. And before some of you hardcore guys say, yeah, whatever, don't talk crap till you have been behind the wheel of what this motor can do. Like I said, I've built it twice. I know what this little engine right there will do. So, there's little secrets. Machinists can do the things that make things go a little bit quicker than what most people you can buy off the shelf and bolt on will do for you. So, but other than that, this one's okay. Test drove it, drives fine. I still have to get the front end aligned underneath it. I set the toe in and it's real close, but I just want to put it on a machine and check it. But my son gets out of school at 2:45. I gotta go pick him up here in a minute. We'll come home, we'll get this finished up, we'll get the intake ripped off and put back on. I'll have to make a run to O'Reilly's to get some antifreeze, because the antifreeze that come out of this motor, even though it's new, had some leftover crap where they hot tanked it in it, and it's kind of nasty. So I'm going to filter it through a couple t-shirts and through a paint strainer or two and see what it looks like after that. If it still looks like it's contaminated, I'm not going to use it. I'll just go buy 3 more gallons and break it down with water and make 6 gallons. That's what this thing holds, is 6 gallons total. But don't ever get pissed off when you're working on a car either. See that fucked up header tube down there? That's what happens when you get pissed off trying to clearance something so it won't rub. After we started the motor and the mount settled, the column rubbed against the steering, rubbed that header tube. That one I was able to bend over. The first one, that one, there I got pissed off and just took the hammer to it. And then on top of it, I had a pin fall out of my pocket and it melted. That's the black spots to the damn header. But this is supposed to be a rat rod, so that's why it's painted with engine enamel and a rattle can. Get the scratch bucket, another can of Grabber Green duplicolor engine enamel, and you're good. My daughter got those for me off the internet somewhere. I got my 431 big block badges made to go on the cow hood scoop. When I get the hood done, I'm going to redo the gauges because I used those cheap ass autometer gauges, and I've got some real nice ones now, 2 5/8 liquid filled pro comps that'll go back in it. So, but that's about the size of what's going on. This is all a damn mess. Like I said, I ain't done shit since I moved in. Figuring out what's going to stay in here to work on shit, what's going to go out in the other garage to work on shit, and there's shit in the basement yet. So, because I had the garage full of crap from working on the house, table saws and radiator alarm saw and shit set up. I had to push it all to the walls, and so. But just kind of an update. You guys that are asking about the Camaro headers. Okay, I'm going to point some things out while I've got the light on this camera. If you notice, if you look straight down where the 4 tubes go down past the frame, right behind this driver's motor mount, you're going to have to cut that out. And you can cut it out high on the top and angle toward the bottom. You don't have to cut a great big chunk out of it. All you have to do when you're done is lay a piece of plate in there instead of flat. Lay it in there like this at an angle. Come from the bottom where you cut less to the top where you cut more at about a 60-degree angle. and weld that in. On this side of the frame where it comes and it curves to the cross member part under the engine, you're going to have to trim about 1/4 inch of that off. And you can either take and do like I did. I just took weld and filled it back in and ground it, and that header will clear. The passenger side header you don't have to do anything to. It will clear all on its own. You have to move your steering shaft, and I plated mine back at the firewall with a piece of 1/4 inch aluminum plate. You have to move it to the driver's side 1 inch at the firewall. Do not move it on the dashboard. Just loosen your bolts, scoot it over 1 inch, re-drill the 3 holes that hold the plate to the firewall, bolt it back. You can come out here and cut you and shape you and hammer you a piece of aluminum like I did, or a piece of steel, whatever you want to use. Hammer the little pinch rise that's on the outside of this firewall. You'll have to nail it down flat and bolt it all back through, and it's not going to go anywhere. Okay? The only reason I had to clearance my header tubes now is this truck is a solid axle truck. It's not 2-wheel drive. It is 4-wheel drive, and I have a 3-inch body lift. If I took the body lift out, that column will drop 3 inches, and it would go underneath those tubes, and you wouldn't have to beat all on them like I did. Okay? So don't see that and get worried, because you won't have to do that on a 2-wheel drive. Now on this side, this header will clear the frame. As you can see the light down through there where that collector bolt's at. My finger's putting the shadow off and on it. You're going to be about 3/8 of an inch from the frame, so it won't be a problem. But see how I got the gap right in here where my finger is at in this area? That's because of a 3-inch body lift. If you take the body lift out, that is going to set down against that header collector. And you're going to have to go in your floorboard and either take a sledgehammer and beat that up right there a little bit and kind of a half round it, or you can cut the floorboard out and put you a little mini tunnel right there on the passenger side floorboard, so your heat off of that don't melt your carpet or whatever. What I've done on the 2-wheel drive is I just took on them snap-on plastic lead bead filled dead blow hammers, and I beat that back up about a 1/2 inch, and then I put some I'm wanting to say it's DEI or whatever, heat shield on the floorboard inside, and you're good. But this header has no problems. Now, I use the 9906 Transdap swap mounts for small block. You will have to grind on the driver's side mount to clear the galley plugs in the bottom of the block for the oil pressure galleys, unless you get them to go way in flush. It's not a big deal. That mount on the passenger side, you don't have to touch. I used the 2.8 frame mounts, which are damn near the same size as a small block mount. And no, they won't rip them apart. No. Don't let anyone talk you into using solid mounts either. Just don't use them unless you want to put a window in your block. But I just pulled the brake lines back out of the way. Later on, I'll probably rebend them and replace them, but right now they're back out of the way. They ain't hurting nothing. But like I said, you'll have to cut that out. And of course, depending on what oil pan you run, is how much you're going to have to cut out of the engine cross member. This one has got a 6-quart truck pan on it, and I cut about 3.5 inches out of the back side of the engine cross member to clear the pan, and then plated it back in with 1/4 inch plate. So, but again, this is 2-wheel drive. And I also cut the upper and lower control arm brackets. Well, the top ones are still there because I use them to mount wires too, but the bottom ones, all the ears are cut off, and I welded those holes shut in the frame. The only thing is there's a coil spring pocket. What you can see is right there. There's the upper control arm mounts. Excuse me, the truck's dirty. It's been sitting in the garage for almost 3 years while it's been getting built, and it ain't been washed. And if you do a solid axle, I'll show you how to run your steering to the driver's side like I did. Level out your drag link, run a sway bar, and no interference problems. And I'm running a 35-inch tire, and I got room. I could probably go to a 40-inch tire under this truck. So, but if you can see, that's how that's clearanced. And that header will go down through that hole, and you'll have about a ½ inch all the way around that header down there where it goes through, and you can get to your oil filter and everything. And as far as the collectors, I made mine. I took a collector and a piece of 3-inch pipe. I cut them at a 45-degree angle, and welded them together to shorten the collector up and put the exhaust up high. So, and I've got 3-inch exhaust to run all the way out the back on this. But there you see, and I'm using a Jeep steering shaft out of an 87 Jeep Comanche with the U-joints. 1-inch double D up there, 3/4 30 spline down there. So there it is, guys. If you need anything, just email me like a couple of people have, and I'll try to get you pictures. I'm really busy. I'm dad to 3 teenage kids. They're all in sports in high school right now, and my wife's a nurse, so I'm constantly on the run. But I'll try to answer your questions and get you pictures as soon as I can. I got a new phone. I lost all of my pictures when AT&T transferred it, so everything on this build, I lost every damn picture I had. So I'm a little pissed over that. And we did that download, save it online, back up my pictures thing 3 times, and still it didn't lost them. So that's what's going on with the 2 trucks. Said as we start body working the truck, that motor's going in. It's sitting out there on that trailer, covered up for right now, which will probably be in the next couple of weeks once the weather breaks, because I'm going to do a lot of the body sanding and stuff outside. Now we're in town in here. I got to kind of watch what I'm doing, spraying primer and paint, because the neighbors bitch about the fumes. So even though I got my garage set up, kind of like Paint Pimp's got his set up with the fans in the walls, and I've got filters sliding the garage doors in the back. But my stuff's down low, so it draws the air downward. They still bitch about the fumes. So anyway, that's what's going on, guys. Later.